The new Star Wars trilogy is probably the most divisive trilogy of all time. So many people hate the new trilogy, so many people love it, and so many people are sitting in between. And the biggest reason why people are so divided with this trilogy is that they didn't really have a plan. So today I will be sharing my thoughts and my rewrite of this entire trilogy. So how I would have handled this whole trilogy, and how I actually thought of a plan. Before we get started off with everything, I'd just like to say this is the second part of the series. So I will be delving into the midway. I'm midway through the story, so entire trilogy. So I'm just started on The Last Jedi. So if you have not seen my first part, you're probably going to be confused. And another thing is that I did not do this alone. The credit of the person that helped me is up on screen. And a final few things that I have to say is that this is just my take on this. So feel free to share your opinions on this. And also remember, if it sounds good on paper, doesn't necessarily mean it will be great on screen, like Jar Jar Binks, and vice versa as well. If it sounds bad on paper, does not necessarily mean that it will be bad on screen. It could be amazing. And the final thing I have to say before we get started is that there will be spoilers ahead for every Star Wars movie. So if you have not seen the new trilogy and the new Disney movies, or just Star Wars, and you don't want anything to be spoiled for you, you might want to click off this video right now. In my first part, I did The Force Awakens, and I finished talking about my additions to that film. So now, with Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi, everything is heavily changed. With The Force Awakens, I did not change much. I didn't remove anything, I just added in more stuff. And in The Last Jedi, the story is, the main plot of the movie is kind of the same, but nearly the entire movie has been restructured. Go Star Wars movies, it starts off with a crawl, so I do have a different crawl for the movie, but the title does say the same, The Last Jedi. My episode 7, I changed the title to The Shadow of the Empire, but the title stayed the same. The opening crawl stayed the same. And now for episode 8, the title will stay the same, but I have kind of changed the opening crawl, so I'm going to share the opening crawl to you guys now. First Order reigns supreme. Having decimated the last opposing military might, the Republic, Supreme Leader Snoke now deploys his merciless allegiance to seize military control of the entire galaxy. Only General Leia Organa's band of resistance fighters stand against the rising tyranny of the First Order, certain that Jedi Master Luke Skywalker will return and restore a spark of hope to win the war. But the location of the resistance base has been exposed by a secret spy. As the First Order speeds towards the rebel base, the brave heroes try to mount a desperate escape. Straight after that, we cut to the resistance trying to escape. Basically, like in the movie, they're trying their best to get out of there. But in this version, there are no bombers, and we don't get any. Rose's sister is not even in this scene, and Rose is not even in this movie. She doesn't even exist. I really found her pointless in The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So in this version, Poe destroys the Dreadnought by himself. Yes, that does sound kind of stupid, but we are we are told throughout The Force Awakens that Poe is a great pilot. He is the best pilot in the Resistance, but we never get to see a lot of his skill. So now, in The Last Jedi, we get to see how talented of a pilot he is, and he finds the weak spot in the Dreadnought and blows the whole damn thing up. And this is what shows us that Poe is actually indeed a great pilot. He does not just told us over and over again that he's a great pilot. We are shown that he is a great pilot. And also, this completely deletes Rose and her sister from the film. I really thought that Rose was a very bad aspect of this movie, and everything that she brought in, she was just a very annoying character. Nothing to do with her actress, but just Rose as a character really did not feel right. Straight after Poe destroys the dreadnought, the Resistance jumps straight into light speed and escapes. But so they think they escape, but they really do not. The First Order is still on their tail. Straight after that big action sequence, we cut to Rey handing Luke his lightsaber. And this time, it's not going to be a joke. He's not just gonna chuck it away like that for a cheap laugh. This time, Luke actually tells her that he is not going to take this and that he really doesn't want to take it, and he just hangs it back to her. He doesn't throw it behind his back as a joke. He just tosses it back to her, and then she takes it, and then we're just like wondering why did he do that. And this time it is not a joke, because in the movie this scene really should have not been a joke. In this scene, in that small moment, we get to see how Luke has changed as a bit. It's like he's changed as a character when he tosses the lightsaber away. And that should have been a very emotional scene. But no, it is just there for a small laugh. But in this version, that everything happens the same. He hands the lightsaber back to her and says not taking it. And then we get to see that this character is not the same. It's not how we saw him in Return of the Jedi. He has changed over the years. Luke is just going to tell Rey that I'm not going to take this lightsaber and I'm not coming with you, and he just tells her to get lost, and he just walks off like in the movie. Right after that scene, we cut to inside Snoke's mothership. Kylo and Snoke are talking, and it's just like in the movie. Snoke is telling Kylo that he is weak and he is just disappointed in him. Snoke says the same line in the movie, there's a line where he says, "When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power, and now all I see is a weak child." So this scene is basically just the same as in The Last Jedi, but I think I stretched it out a little bit more to add that, just to add more of that thing where you get to see Kylo's frustration and hatred towards Snoke rising up, because Snoke also tells Kylo Ren that you will never be as good as Vader, and Snoke tells him that if he kills Rey, then he will finally see him as worthy to be called to be the next Darth Vader. So since Kylo is obsessed with Darth Vader and all of that, he accepts the challenge and he tells him this: yes, I will kill the girl, and then I'll finally be as good as my grandfather Vader. Right after that scene, we cut to Rey trying to persuade Luke to get him to train her. But then he keeps telling her that I sense darkness inside you. So he keeps pushing her away and away, foreshadowing the reveal later on in the film. Snoke's gigantic mothership finally arrives right behind the Resistance ship. So Finn and Leia and them are trying to figure out how they are being tracked through lightspeed. They just can't understand, but then eventually Poe and since Leia and them are not stupid, they do figure out that there is a spy aboard the Resistance ship feeding the First Order information. Right after the First Order arrives, and right after Leia and Poe and them figure out that indeed there is a spy, we do get the elevator scene with Kylo Ren having a tantrum and smashing his helmet against the wall, his mask. He destroys it, and it is not repaired even in Episode 9. It just stays on the floor. And Kylo does let the past die, and he carries on with his life right after that. Right after Kylo's tantrum, we cut to Rey falling into the cave of darkness. Like in the actual movie, we see her falling in, and then we have that sequence of her figuring out who she is. But this time, we find out that she is indeed a Palpatine. We find out in this cave that she is a Palpatine, and that really shatters her. So because Rey has found out what her true lineage is, Luke does decide to train her so she won't become the next Darth Sidious, or she won't become like Palpatine. So Luke decides to train her, but she still does not. She's still going through that reaction period where you find out that she is indeed a Palpatine. So she's going through that a little bit, and then later on it does get solved. And also, right after this, Finn and Poe are trying their best to find out who the spy is. So they go and research all the major generals' histories. So they'll research some of the generals, like they're gonna be researching people in the Resistance. And they have a huge library of history to research, so they begin their research, so they have a long way ahead of them to figure out who is the spy and why. And then we get to see Kylo fly off in his TIE fighter to some like scary ass looking planet, some Sith planet. Like it's not Exegol, but it's like an ancient temple, something. So he goes there and he researches about Snoke's history, and because he is angry. He is very angry with Snoke, so he really wants to destroy him. So he wants to find out where Snoke came from. And like throughout the film, we'll be getting flashbacks with Kylo being trained by Snoke. And Snoke keeps telling Kylo about this ancient temple that he was trained in. So Kylo finally goes to that temple and tries to find out where Snoke came from. And he does find out where Snoke was born, in the planet of Naboo. And he does find out Snoke's parents. And Snoke's parents have the same name as Palpatine's parents. So Kylo pieces it all together, and he is 99% sure that Snoke is Palpatine. Then we cut back to the planet, the island that Luke is hiding on with Rey, and Rey is basically just depressed because she is the granddaughter of Palpatine, and Luke tries to cheer her up by telling her that his dad was Darth Vader, the person that committed the largest amount of murders in the entire galaxy. So he tells her that just because your lineage is to be a Palpatine doesn't mean that you have to be a Sith. And same with Luke. His dad was Vader, but he didn't turn out to be the next Vader as well. So he's telling her that everyone, like, you don't have to be what your family is. And he also tells Rey that Darth Vader was brought back to the light side because there is hope in everyone, but apparently not Palpatine himself. Finn and Poe finally solve the mystery. They find out that the spy is the purple hair lady. But they were having suspicions that the purple hair lady was the spy from the beginning of the film. But now they are completely 100% sure it is the purple hair lady. But since the purple hair lady is a general or something, she has a higher ranking than them. They are placed in a cell, so they are locked away for false accusations by the purple hair lady. Reason I'm going to give for why the First Order doesn't just blow up the Resistance in the first minute of this entire battle is because there are other Resistance bases hidden throughout the galaxy, but nobody knows where they are. And it's going to take years to find them, and maybe in those years the Resistance could get much more powerful than it is. So the goal of the First Order is to capture some people from the Resistance that know where the other bases are hidden. So the purple hair lady lets a couple of First Order soldiers in, and a select few of them survive and escape and fly to the closest planet, which is the red salt one in The Last Jedi. Kylo goes and confronts Snoke about everything. He finds out about Rey and Palpatine's connection, so he goes to Snoke and asks him everything. All of Snoke's secrets are revealed, In this movie, we find out that Snoke is a clone of Palpatine, and Rey is indeed their main enemy. Palpatine offers all the knowledge and power of the Sith to Kylo. If he kills Rey, then all of that power will be his. So Kylo lures Rey over with their Force connection that they were having throughout the film, like in the original movie. And then Snoke tells him that he tried to kill her on Jakku, but Jakku was part of the first Jedi Empire, so dark forces could not enter. So I will just explain what happened. So Snoke is a clone of Palpatine, and Rey is indeed her granddaughter. But the reason he has waited this long, and the reason that he corrupted Kylo Ren was to kill Rey, because she was stuck on Jakku, and Jakku was part of the Jedi Empire, so dark forces could not enter and harm anything inside. And the reason I wanted Palpatine to be revealed in this movie is because it makes so much more sense. Rise of Skywalker should have really been 4 hours long. It was 2 movies crammed into one. It was explanation of Palpatine's survival and then the actual endgame. But in this version, I'm going to make it Last Jedi is Infinity War, and Rise of Skywalker can still be the endgame. This fits better in with the overall story, and we get our main villain. We find out who our main villain of the story is, and that is Palpatine. Cause we found out in Rise of Skywalker that our main villain is Palpatine, but that was the last movie of the series. Imagine in Infinity War, our main villain was like some other bad guy, maybe Loki or whoever. It was some other bad guy, and then we find out in Rise of Skywalker that our main bad guy was Palpatine pulling the strings. That would just be the stupidest thing ever. So in Infinity War, for example, Infinity War, Loki is the bad guy, but then in Endgame we find out that Thanos was the bad guy and he was pulling the strings. That wouldn't make sense at all, right? That would just be stupid. So in Last Jedi we do find out that Palpatine was pulling the strings all along. So Finn and Poe escape the cell somehow, and they fly off to the Red Salt planet to help the Resistance escape. So they go to the Red Salt planet and try to fix the broken ships that are on the Red Salt planet so they can escape in time. Since Rey and Kylo share a Force connection, Rey tells Luke that the Resistance is about to get destroyed. So they both hop on to the Millennium Falcon with Chewbacca and all of them, the gang, and they fly off to wherever the Resistance is hiding. Luke goes with her because he also wants Kylo to turn to the light side, and he wants to fix his mistake that he did, which was trying to murder Kylo in the first movie. So just gotta remember, in my version, we find out that Luke tried to murder Kylo in episode 7. They arrive there, they are caught up in a space chase, so they are flying through space, so their team gets split up. Rey ends up going with Kylo Ren, and Luke ends up escaping with Leia and them, and then they fly off to the Salt Planet. Rey is captured and is taken with Kylo Ren, so on their way to the throne room, Rey does try to persuade Kylo to come back to the light side, but then before they could finish their conversation, they already have entered the throne room. So the scene does play out like in the movie. Snoke is telling her, look, your friends are dying, but in this time she's gonna tell him, look, your friends are dying, the only way to save them is to kill me and fulfill your destiny and rule on the throne of the Sith. And Kylo knows that, this is all part of their plan. If Rey does indeed kill Snoke, then Kylo is there to kill Rey. So Kylo knows that Snoke, or Palpatine, whatever you want to call him in this time, is messing with Rey's mind. So if Rey does kill Snoke, then she will pledge herself to the dark side, and then it will be easier for them to rule together. It's kind of confusing, but I'll just explain to you what is happening in this moment right now. Snoke's plan right now is that if Rey does kill Snoke and becomes a Sith, then Kylo will end up killing her, or Rey will end up killing Kylo. So anyways, it's a victory for Snoke or for Palpatine, because he's going to transfer his spirit into any of them anyhow. So that's a victory for him. If both of them rule, then 2 Sith on the throne. That is his thing. He will transfer his essence. So he thinks that it's a win-win in both scenarios. But what Kylo thinks is that if Rey kills Snoke if Rey kills Snoke, then Kylo and Rey will rule together, like exactly how we want in the movie. So they both think that it's going to be a win-win scenario for them, but actually everything is tilting onto Palpatine's side. Kylo thinks it's a win-win scenario for him. If Rey dies, then he will rule by himself, but if Rey survives and kills Snoke, then they will rule together. But it's actually Palpatine that is taking advantage of this moment, because anyhow this way goes, he's going to win it. But what he doesn't know is that they will escape. So Rey kills Snoke. And goes full rage mode and nearly kills Kylo, but she kills all the Praetorian guards by herself. She's going into full Sith mode, but then she gaps at the last minute and pulls herself to the light side. Right after that, Admiral Akbar does the lightspeed ram, and then Kylo leads the AT-ATs to go destroy the Resistance, and then Luke shows up, and then Kylo becomes a sore loser, so he goes to 1v1 Luke himself, but Luke buys everyone time to escape, so Luke lets Kylo kill him so he can haunt him as a Force ghost. And then right after that, no one believes that Palpatine is back. So everyone on the First Order believes that their leader has been executed, is being destroyed, has been killed. Some people believe that Kylo killed him, and some people believe that Rey killed him. So it's a lot of rumors going around in the First Order. The majority do think that Kylo Ren actually assassinated the Supreme Leader. So Kylo gaps, and the First Order basically is left leaderless. So they start fighting within themselves for leadership. So Palpatine tells Kylo Ren that he has an empire ready for him. He just has to prove that he is ready for it. And then the final shot of the film is Palpatine telling Kylo Ren that he has to kill Rey, the last Jedi. Basically, the big battle at the end is on Snoke's mothership. There is the battle on this red salt planet, but that doesn't last long because everyone gaps it. But the main climactic battle of the film is on Snoke's ship, when Rey kills Snoke and nearly kills Kylo Ren, but pulls herself to become a Jedi once again. So the ending of this movie is a direct setup for episode 9. It literally just tells us that Palpatine does have an empire ready for him. He just has to prove that he is ready, and to prove that he is ready, he has to kill Rey, the last Jedi. I feel like this is a much better middle chapter than The Last Jedi. Last Jedi on its own was a good movie, but it does not serve as a good middle chapter. So this was my rewrite of the Star Wars sequel trilogy part 2. Make sure to come back next time for my third part, where I will start off with episode 9. And my episode 9 is a completely different movie from The Rise of Skywalker. So this is it for this video, guys, and I'll see you all next time.